at Lizamore and Associates out in Rosebank in Johannesburg, and their current exhibition by 4 artists is titled Materiality. Welcome to this edition of the Art Bulletin. I'm Dumisi Dumedi, and as always, thank you very much for staying with us, and I hope you enjoyed your Heritage Day. 3 photographers have brought together their skills, their ideas, their backgrounds, and their lenses to reflect on 20 years of South Africa's democracy. Their project, titled 20 Journey, sees them traveling around South Africa to capture as much of it as they possibly can. Sipho, Vikas and Sean are currently in Johannesburg, and we just had to catch up with them.
We are basically investigating 20 years of democracy under 3 different themes. There's a guy missing, Vikas. So I'm focusing on the idiosyncrasies of the country.
And I'm focusing on bonfires.
And then Vikas is focusing on land. It's about 20 years of democracy, and also what it's about is South Africa is now entering a new chapter.
Since we all come from different backgrounds, that kind of help us in a way, especially when we go to different locations. Eastern Cape, for example, we went to Eastern Cape, and then since they can speak closer, they don't understand closer culture and everything. So and then that's where I come in and I explain to them. I
saw things that I would never have seen because of Sipho, in places like Gunu especially. So yeah, I think access. Most
of the history or the archive of South Africa is always hidden, and you never find it anywhere. But then with this project, it's different. You can go online, it's like a diary. You can go online, you can get as much information you want. But
that's the most exciting aspect of this project, is that we have this online visual journal, and we are embracing new technology with platforms such as Facebook and Instagram.
Music lovers and jazz fanatics were treated to a series of concerts, performances and activations around the Sandton area. This is part of the build-up to this week's Standard Bank Joy of Jazz Festival. These performances took place at the Nelson Mandela Square, Sandton City and other establishments in Sandton.
We have activation at the Sandton Sun, at the food court at Nelson Mandela Square. People must go there and visit our Standard Bank Joy of Jazz mini stall. We'll be giving out pamphlets, people will win tickets, and there's obviously entertainment from development bands. Lunchtime, we have Concord Nkabinde, Annie Smith and McCoy entertaining. We are quite nervous. We are happy to be here though, and excited at the same time that, look, this is the first time and we've done so much. Most of the things that were just dreams are now, coming into play. How we will brand Sandton and make it a jazz city, it's coming into play, and yeah, we're looking forward.
The Breathe Sunshine Engage Music Conference will host, among others, DJs Black Coffee and Euphonic, rapper HP from the Palatons Khan Moby, and Australian electronic duo The Presets. We caught up with Amaru Da Costa of Solistic Music just to find out on what topic he plans to address at the music conference.
One of the key points that I'm going to be discussing, obviously under a topic, taking South African house music global, which is going to be a bit tricky because there isn't a formula. Things are a bit easy today with social media. With us, we did a couple of things. We used different methods. Firstly, we uploaded stuff on YouTube. We shared it with the world, and that's how people discovered us. And after that, we decided to license our music to international labels. So it was a case of, instead of us trying to understand the Germans, let's get a few Germans who understand us to go understand the rest of Germany. So we license music to labels in Germany, the US, we've done Greece, France, etc. In that way, it was easy for us, to be able to spread music across the globe.
What are South Africans laughing at and about right now? What topics do stand-up comedians seem to be taking advantage of these days? We asked funny man Chris Mapani, who's performing at the Mabana Theatre in Taung this evening.
I use comedy to address almost everything in my life, if not everything, in fact, because so I don't really get to offend people, because one, I love people. I perform in front of people because I love being there, so I can say anything, because as a person you can tell if something comes from arrogance or if this person is genuinely being funny, because as people we need to really, I don't even say we don't need to. People already know how to laugh at themselves now. We got to a point where we're comfortable in our space that we can laugh at ourselves. The number one rule in comedy is that if the joke, the subject of the joke, if you cannot do that joke when that person is in the venue, then it's not a joke, then it's offensive. But if you can do it in his face, and then you're having a good time. I do a lot of freestyling lately because what I try to do is to make the show to be more relevant, you know. So, because, you know, we started doing comedy from being funny around our friends. So now what I do is my set is now, like, I try and make the whole audience part of that whole big bunch of friends.
So, about 50 years ago, one of South Africa's living legends, Sipho Hotsticks Mabuse, decided to take his relationship with music to a professional level. About 20 years later, which is 30 years ago, he brought out one of his biggest hits, Burn Out. On the 1st of October, he'll celebrate both milestones with a concert titled Timelessness. It will take place at the Lyric Theatre in Johannesburg. Wait until you see the impressive lineup. From his first group, Harare, where he became a household name, to his stellar solo career, which spends the better part of his life, the multi-instrumentalist and singer who, among other skills, masters the flute, drums, the piano and saxophone, to mention a few. It was in the year 1984 when Mabuse released his 500,000 copy-selling album, Burn Out, which, according to many, 30 years on, still sounds fresh. Timelessness, which takes place on Wednesday at Gold Reef City's Lyric Theatre, will feature the remaining members of Harare, who include bassist Kondrizo Kubu. Pops Mohammed and PJ Powers will also share the stage with Mabuse. 10 main festival venues in one of Africa's largest cities will host some of SA's most loved artists, who include Johnny Clegg, Jack Barrow, Amanda Stradom and Loiso Gola. That's the Absa Joburg City Festival, which takes place around Johannesburg between the 2nd and the 5th of October.
Well, the festival is about celebrating town, you know, Joburg City, the inner city, and its regeneration is a great way to come to town to experience the diversity, the vibe, the energy, the buzz, all the beautiful places, and to see a few great concerts at the same time too.
Well, the lineup is very diverse and it covers quite a large part of town. So outside, at Baseline, for instance, we have a partnership with the Kalao Jazzmere guys, so you can expect to see Professor, and as you know, he's got two new songs.
At the Wall by French, Ivorian, Senegalese photographer Mame Diarra Niyang has opened at the Stevenson in Braamfontein. This makes it her first Joburg exhibition.
Interestingly enough, even though both artists, it was really their first exhibitions in Johannesburg, and the works were formed outside of Joburg, there's something that speaks to, I think, the immediacy of the city. There's something very performative and spontaneous and experimental about Johannesburg as a city that I think a lot of people will relate to. And with Mum's works as well, the Wall. I mean, you think of Joburg and you think of gated communities, and it's just something that is so prevalent in our day-to-day imagery. But stripping images of a city from not having people in them is something that is unexpected and speaks a lot to what we see actually in Joburg. You see walls more than you see houses and people. So I think there's something really interesting that there's something at play in relation to the artwork and the context of it. And it's fantastic that these could be their first shows in South Africa.
And that's the Art Bulletin story for today, coming to you from Lizamo and Associates out in Rosebank in Johannesburg. To find out more about their current exhibition titled Materiality, you can visit www.lizamo.co.za. To keep in touch with us, you can always tweet @MorningLiveSABC, #The Art Bulletin. Until next time, it's a goodbye from us.